Humanity in the world stands at the threshold of the greatest change it will ever encounter. This change will be wrought in part by humanity's misuse of the world and humanity's impact upon its natural environment of the world. But included in this is the intervention of races from around the world who seek to take advantage of a weak and divided humanity. These two great events, these two great phenomena are directly connected for those who seek to intervene in the world, seek to have humanity become weak and divided, and to have you plunge into conflict, your nations struggling over the remaining resources, your nations fighting with each other for food, water, and energy rights and access, into an increasingly chaotic situation. Those who are intervening in the world, who rely upon mental persuasion above all else to achieve their goals, will present themselves as the saviors of humanity. They will come with their advanced technology, proclaiming that they do not have war, that they do not have conflict, that they have learned to live in peace and equanimity. But their presentation, as convincing as it might sound, is entirely a deception. For they are nothing more than resource explorers and commercial interests who seek to gain control of the world and the world's people. They do not have military strength. That is not their power. They do not have vast armies. They are not going to come and take the world by force. For this they cannot do. Instead, their strength is more subtle and more pervasive, and in the end far more successful than any use of force would be. Humanity's destiny is to emerge into a greater community of intelligent life in the universe. This greater community represents races and nations of beings at all levels of evolution, representing an immense diversity of life. But at present, humanity knows nothing of the greater community. You only have your wishes and your fears and your aspirations to fill in the great question of what exists beyond your borders. But what exists beyond your borders is a competitive environment unlike anything you can possibly imagine. Here there are races that are mature. Here there are races that have learned how to gain what they need without the use of weapons and force. Here races have realized that the strength and the power of the mind in the mental environment is far more effective and far more constructive than trying to exert influence through weaponry or by physical force. Humanity only has an inkling of what this greater power may be. And indeed, this greater power is known to you. It has power and influence in the mental environment. In the simplest of forms, it is represented by a parent's influence over their children, or a government's influence over their people, or a merchant's influence over his or her customers, trying to persuade people to do what you want them to do, and to not do what you do not want them to do, to persuade them to be compliant, to pacify them, to direct them, and to control them. While this influence in the mental environment has very positive applications, what you are facing in the greater community poses the greatest threat to human freedom and sovereignty in this world. This threat is even greater than environmental decline and the wasting of your resources. Those such things will have immense consequence on the quality of life and the quantity of life within your human family. You are encountering the interventions from beyond the world have far greater consequences for the future and the destiny of the human family.